Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of the Midflight Scramblers Podcast. I'm your host Josh Bobinet, coming to you with my co-host JPC, John Patrick Costello. Today we have the pleasure of interviewing the 37th ranked long driver on the World Long Drive Tour. We like to call him Big Iron. Midflight Scramblers. The Midflight Scramblers Podcast brought to you by Phantom Mentor Digital. Coming up next, our interview with the long-hitting Gavin Yociss of Sullivan, Missouri.
I take out my driver nowadays, Gavin, man, and I know it's a piece of shit. It's not a piece of shit. It's a 2-year-old driver, but it's got a larger head. It's like a king size Cobra, right? And It doesn't have it's made for guys trying to keep their shit in play. It's not made for guys they're going to hit it on the screws every time, right? So it doesn't have the distance that I know I could get out of a more precise load unload driver, you know?
Right.
But now I'm ready to go to that club, and I'm waiting to see because I mean, you know, 255 to 265 is pretty much where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's completely playable.
It's playable. I want 285.
Well, everybody wants more. I want 550.
And John weighs like 50 to 80 pounds less than me, and he can drive the ball 280 on a regular basis, just pretty standard, you know. So I don't like that. I don't like.
I do, and I can tell you that whenever I hit it, not really sure where it's going.
Yeah.
But
you're pretty sure
it's going to go somewhere where I have a second shot.
Well, Gavin, I got to be honest. The truth is this is the first year that I started beating John equally. We started playing and beat
a few times. It wasn't like consistent.
Yeah, it's pretty consistent. Don't let him lie, okay? But it's because of the rest of my game. It's not because of the drive. He's out driving me 20 to 30 yards every time. Sometimes 40 yards.
We call that a regular Walmart and a super Walmart. I've got a super Walmart usually.
So I need my wedge game and my putting to close the deal, and that's what's done it. That's what does it. That's what does it.
So let's get into real, you know, the background, you know, kind of where you started the love for not only the game, but were you a high school player? Were you a college player? You know, kind of the genesis of, you know, when you started hitting balls and then that time that you said, wow, man, I think I can do this. I think I can compete.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, as you kind of mentioned earlier, I'm in the kind of Union, Washington area now, but I grew up in Sullivan, Missouri, not too far from here, small little town. Kind of grown up as a kid, we would go out. I'd go out with my grandpa. We'd play every once in a while, but then as I started getting a little old enough to be on my own, I really started to play a lot more, and had a good group of friends that they all did as well. So once we were old enough, we would get dropped off at the golf course in the summer and free babysitting for the parents. But I mean, sun up to sun down. I mean, we were out there and wreaking havoc on that place. And
so where were you at when you started playing? What course?
Sullivan Golf Club, Sullivan Country Club, Sullivan Golf Course. It goes back and forth, but yeah. So that's where the homestead was, and a lot of good memories out there, and did that for years, and then played all through high school, which was a lot of fun, super successful. Our high school team kind of dominated the four years that I was there and my group of friends were, and so that was a really good time. And
so talk domination. What'd you guys do? Give me some accomplishments, man.
The 4 years we were there, we didn't ever lose a single match versus another school. We won conference all 4 years. We won we won sectionals 2 of the years. And then, you know, when it came down to crunch time and at state, we kind of faltered a little bit, but it is what it is. At least the rest went well every year.
Did you guys win a state championship?
We did not. We'd never won a state championship. That's the missing piece. If I could go back.
And what level are you talking? 1A, 2A, 3A, or whatever?
We were 3A.
Yeah.
So not too small. I mean, we still dabbled with some of the private schools in St. Louis, CBC, MICDS.
Did you play them in like a regular season match, or just when you got to the state?
So just when we got to state, they would mix in some of those schools and stuff, and so the competition got a lot better. And on top of that, we would get in our heads a little bit. And
yeah, well, I was going to ask that. Like growing up on a golf course, like you did, basically getting a situation where you could play all day if you wanted to. You could play till you dropped, right? I found that the confidence that comes from just looking at a golf course as a playground, like a basketball court or anything, like you just keep shooting hoops, keep shooting hoops. You walk up to the same hole three times in a day or whatever, and you hit a drive. The third time, you're not even thinking about tension or anything. You're just, let's just bang one out there and see what happens. And I think that loosens you up,
Yeah, no, I mean, exactly what you just said, not thinking about it. You hit a point, like we played all these courses and especially our home course and stuff so much. I mean, you know exactly what club you're hitting for every single hole, every single shot. You're not thinking about a single thing. You're just taking a lap. So definitely a comfortability there. But I mean, as far as like even people getting into playing, I think there's a lot to be said for just playing.
Yes.
I mean, you can hit range balls for hours and hours and hours. Yes. But everybody knows everybody can hit it good on the range, and then you go to the golf course and it's a different story, I think.
Because of the pressure.
More time playing. Yeah. I think if you spend more time playing, it translates over to you getting better a lot faster than hitting range balls.
I think the strange thing is that, for the person who has to afford golf, the minute they walked out there, they bet $50 on their ability to play well. And most of them are just getting out of their car after a day's of work, strapping the shoes on in the parking lot, and going out there thinking they're gonna hit well, and they're just not. They haven't even warmed up. Like it'd be the sixth hole before you've had enough swings to even feel like a golfer, right? So so I would just say that there's pressure associated with just golf in general, in the sense that every swing matters.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, once you step on the tee box, there's not really a do-over there. So
there's no do-overs, man.
You're just off.
Gavin, that's called a breakfast ball. Josh uses them all the time.
Yeah, breakfast ball.
Yeah,
breakfast ball, first tee. I need a breakfast putt. That's what I need. First hole breakfast putt.
Just a breakfast ball.
Just to see what just see what the greens are doing when you haven't been out there. You know what I mean?
Oh, no, absolutely.
So talk about college. What about college? Where'd you go? What'd you do?
Yeah. So then after all that fun was over with, I ended up going to play at McKendree University over in Lebanon, Illinois. So not crazy far from where I grew up. It's about an hour, probably 45 from where I grew up, Southern Illinois. Played there for a couple years. That was a good time. But as we were talking about pressure and getting in your head, and it just kind of started compounding, and the snowball effect happened, and I felt like I was just moving backwards, kind of with my, skill level or just scoring. I just wasn't scoring well anymore. But then I'd go to the range all the time trying to grind through and fix it, and I'm striping it on the range. So
Sure.
There's some sort of burnout, mental disconnect, yips, whatever you want to call it, that had accumulated, and it was just time to step away. And I was presented with an opportunity because I went on my sophomore summer of college. I went on a big weight loss journey. And in that time, I had gotten close and was living with still a good buddy of mine who's on the powerlifting team. And I had been lifting weights with him, and he introduced me to the coach, and the coach they needed some people, but he was like, hey, like you could be good at this. Like, give this a try. And so I did, and ended up doing my first meet, which qualified me for nationals with the team. And then it was kind of off to the races with powerlifting. And so I left golf behind, didn't touch a club for, 2-3 years. And didn't really, when I left it behind, didn't know when I was going to touch one again. I was kind of content in the, enjoying college, how college kids do, and hanging out with my buddies and lifting weights. And that was all I had to worry about. And that was pretty fun there for a few years, and was able to transfer my scholarship. So kind of worked out.
How powerful were you?
And we'll be right back. Okay, guys, so today's episode is brought to you by Phantom Mentor Digital. Phantom Mentor Digital, be visible with all things digital. Check them out at phantommentor.com. We also want to let you know about Phantom Mentor Digital's new show, Scramble, which can be found on Amazon Prime Video. So go over and check that out. Here's a little clip for you.
Welcome to the Corn Dunes Golf Course.
I would like to welcome you all to the Corn Dunes Qualifier. The winner of today's tournament will get an automatic bid in the big banana.
There's the anglers.
I'm from the great state of Oklahoma, oil man by trade, lover by persistence, and golfer by anointment.
The metal irons. Real golf wives.
What are you doing?
The wind's picking up.
Are you going to go down a club?
I don't know, but this breeze feels amazing on my Botox.
Denzel Washington.
We've all seen you putt. I don't need that black magic voodoo nonsense that's in your putter to affect my putters.
Jesus Chips.
There's two things I love. It's golf and the Lord. So let's get to blessing.
Johnny Longo and the Pindicate.
The prize money, 10 times that of any other Scramble tournament. I mean, it's like the live tour of Scramble tournaments.
Scramble, the first golf comedy TV series ever.
Now available on Amazon Prime Video.
At my best, I was deadlifting, and that was way towards the end. Was deadlifting mid-7s, squatting about mid-5s. Such a weird thing, because like once you hit a certain level of strength, you just know you can do it. So then it's always or maybe it's me, maybe I'm just nuts. I mean, it's always oh, now I want more. Now what's next? Oh, now I hit 700. Can I hit 800? And then it's like, once you do it, it's like you do it again. You're like, I already did that. Right. Like still feels good, but it's like whatever. And there's always someone stronger than you. So it's always like, well, they are. So why?
That's a dirty game right there. Because mentally, you got to check yourself at some point, or do you?
You do. Like I've had to. Like I don't push heavy weights like that anymore when I'm lifting, just for the sake of I don't want to tear my body up like that with all the golf stuff I'm doing.
I mean, you're 37th in the world long drive tour. I mean, what happens with you whenever you're in season? What happens with your body and how you maintain whenever you're not in season? What are those workouts like, and are they more reps with lighter weight during the season? Or are they heavier weights out of season? How does that work?
And I would just like to add to that question and say, do you think there's other long drivers that have a history of powerlifting or lifting like you did?
Yeah, so I'll touch on the history point real quick. Long drive's so interesting because so many people come from so many backgrounds. And what you'll find is there are a lot from different professional sports that have turned to it. So there are some past NFL players and stuff like that. So I do think there are some. I know of one other power lifter, but definitely all athletic backgrounds. Are they as much of a gym rat as I am? Probably not. Because I still love the just general strength and size and power aspect of it. Do some of them specialize more in, we'll call it athletic training, athletic specific training? Yeah, like everybody's in the gym, but they're not necessarily just trying to get as big and strong as possible. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people do different stuff, and you see.
Is there anybody out there smoking like a half pack of smokes right before they go up there? Like, is there any John Daly's on the long drive tour?
Not anymore, but maybe I need to add that into the regimen. Maybe that's
really? I don't think so. As your coach, I'm going to say no. I know you didn't appoint me as your coach, but I'm going to go ahead and say no to that.
Fair enough. But yeah, so
are you hardcore? Off season, out of season? Are you doing heavier weights? Are you doing lighter weights? How does your regimen? What does that look like?
Yeah, so off season. And normally when season ends, I like to step away from golf for a month or two. I just want the mental break. I think it tends to clear any bad habits I picked up on as well. So I step away and just focus on the gym for a little bit. And then I find enjoyment in everything else once I start up again. I think it keeps me fresh. Yeah. But off season, I will push a little bit heavier. As well as increasing just overall volume of workouts. So more different movements, more sets, still keeping my assistive movements, higher volume. And then like my main movement, squat, bench, deadlift, anything that I'm pushing heavier, I will drop those reps down just to get that strength back up in the off season and really try to put on some muscle to get ready for season.
So does your mind think like an engineer a little bit? You're engineering yourself?
I would say so, a little bit. I mean, I look at different things. I know where I feel like I lack in different things, and I'm always tweaking and changing my workouts to accommodate for that. I program my workouts for myself. So I have Google spreadsheets for probably the last 2 years of all the different programs I've made for myself. So I program for myself on 4 weeks at a time. And then normally take a deload week, which you're still working out, you're still in the gym, but you're going light and just keeping the body moving, but really giving yourself time to fully recover, catch all the way back up before you hit it hard again. So, yeah, I mean.
Gavin, is this 7 days a week? I mean, do you take a day off? Do you cheat? Do you go to McDonald's? Do you like have a burger every once in a while? I mean,
I was going to ask that question. Good question.
So that's changed a lot. The older I've gotten, I say I'm not old by any means, but the older I've gotten,
I am.
Hold on.
Shut up. What's the number, guy?
Let's clear the air. Let's clear the air. So give me your age, give me your height, give me your weight.
27, 6'3", 275 right now.
Okay.
So.
And in high school, what were you?
It's a good question. I don't know. I didn't touch a weight in high school. I never worked out till college. So.
Interesting. You probably looked a lot differently. Looked a lot different.
3. And yeah, like I kind of mentioned earlier, like sophomore year in college, I was 310 to 320 pounds without ever touching a weight.
Oof.
Before I sophomore summer dropped all the way down to about 215.
So that was probably the least healthy you ever were.
On both ends of the spectrum, yeah. I mean, when I was overweight, yes, and then went overboard on way too fast of weight loss and I was healthier in that aspect, but was not healthy because I was so weak and just tired and deprived myself. So
you basically deprived yourself of protein.
Yeah. Yeah. I've learned a lot since then.
Yeah, that's interesting though, man. I mean, think about it. That's an athlete's journey, honestly. Like
right.
the idea of body image, the idea of what's healthy and not knowing what the math is. I remember really like he was really a chubby football player that I played with coming to me in the weight room, and he said, "I only eat pasta." And I was like,
that's interesting.
No, at the time, because it was vegetarian, like it was thought of it differently. He didn't know it was going to make him fatter. You know what I mean? Like ultimately he didn't realize what the protein tie-in was. And he thought he was going to lose weight. And while working out, he was going to lose weight and work out. But those carbs were going to just eat him alive back then. You know what I mean? So he didn't know. Right. So when you get to this advanced age, like you're in college, so we're talking not too long ago.
Not terribly long ago, no.
So did you understand the math there when you were engineering?
Not when I started. When I was early on, I was just working out. Like I said, I had never really worked out or touched a weight in high school or anything, because the one sport I did not play growing up was football.
Right.
So I never was forced to do any of that. So there was a big learning curve. And as I got into that powerlifting space, I was lucky enough to be surrounded by a bunch of really well-known people who had powerlifted for years and were really well-known mentors for me, not only lifting, but nutrition.
Love mentors.
They had coached anything from bodybuilders to some powerlifters that have world records to, at one point, they had world records themselves. And so I became really close with them and trained at a gym that had multiple people like that. And so from being around all of them, hanging out with them, just picking up knowledge here and there, as well as them teaching me things.
So what's your weight and age at that point? Right there when you get into the powerlifting, what is your weight and age then? You're 6'3", but
at that point I'm like 21, 22, 21, about 215 to 210, but still skinny fat, as some people say.
Coming off the weight loss.
Yeah, coming off the weight loss.
The
weight loss was a decision I had made before I had gotten into the powerlifting world, that I was just fed up. I picked one day, quit all fast food, all soda, and didn't touch it again until for probably like a year and a half, 2 years, and just got into working out and did that for a summer.
I think that's an interesting life change, man.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, I'm a little crazy when I make my mind up on something that I'm going to do it. I dive in 100% and I do it. I don't really.
But that's a turning point. That's a turning point in your life, though, bro.
Yeah, no, absolutely, it was. I mean, it's turned like way down the road. It's turned into everything I'm doing now. Like if I didn't make that decision then, there's no way I'd be where I'm at now. And I don't know. It was just a weird point where I flipped a switch in my head and said, I don't want to be like this. Don't want to live like this. Don't want to look like this anymore. So
yeah,
I just did it. And I mean, that makes it a lot easier, I think, when you are that set within your own mind to do it. Because obviously fitness and all that stuff it's a challenging world. It's tough to navigate.
Yeah.
Like you said, and learning all of it and the ins and outs and the ups and downs. What is healthy? What's unhealthy? What's pushing certain things too far, whether it's nutrition or your training and stuff like that, which, I mean, it leads into kind of what John was asking about earlier, how much I train and stuff like that. Which when I started out, I thought more was better. And this is, as a whole, this is golf. This is working out. I thought more was better. You're going to get better. That's not true.
Right.
If you don't recover, if you don't take the time to feed yourself properly, and rest, you're not going to get any better. You're actually going to make yourself worse. So learn that the hard way.
Yeah. So the carb intake today, and then the protein intake today, when you're going through what you're doing on the off season, which it looks like you guys are starting out in Vegas, in March.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first event. It looks like. What's your intake right now? How many calories and how many grams of protein?
Yeah. So when I do my little breakaway from golf until about the New Year's, I do kind of like a little bulk, kind of a time to eat more fun stuff, what I want to eat. I still don't really love fast food that much, honestly, anymore, but like pizza or going out to eat and getting the burger, whatever it is. But then New Year's hits, I start getting ready for like March and get ready for my event. So I started I'm going to cut down, probably get down to like 265-ish is kind of where I want to sit for season. It's where I feel my best, kind of feel most athletic.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I'm aiming for about 300-ish grams of protein a day, and probably about 200 to 250-ish grams of carbs, timed as close around on both sides of my workout as possible. Because just need to utilize that really for the training aspect. And so that's kind of where I have stuff sitting right now.
How do you think your competitors relate? Do you do you know them? You know some of them well, and some of them not so well. But I mean, do you think that they consider, like, you look at Rory McIlroy, right? And then you look at other PGA Tour players. Now, long drives, different game, but same game. You know, it's not football. It's both golf, right? But you look at Rory McIlroy and how jacked he is in comparison to the early Rory McIlroy. And you look at the Tiger Woods, you know, without the injuries, how kind of like beefed up he is compared to what he was when he first started. And you say, okay, so what diet training they're on? Then you look at your co-competitors in the world of long drive and you say, okay, who is doing what I'm doing?
Right. You know, I mean, that's tough. I think everybody is pretty good at figuring out what works for themselves and their body the most. I think that's something that I've learned a lot getting involved in this space, is that if you try to copy or mimic if I try to copy or mimic what Kyle Berkshire is doing, that isn't necessarily going to make me better for myself. I need to stick to what helps me, makes me better, and will take me to the next level. I'm looking at a
Kyle Berkshire picture right now. He does not look like you.
Yeah,
right?
To that point is like, I mean, I like the strength aspect. I think my speed and power in the golf swing comes from more the strength aspect than it does necessarily the technique. I need to work. That's something I need to work on the golf side of things, is technique to apply the strength and power I have better. But I think the raw strength is what has gotten me thus far. And now taking that and maintaining that and even getting stronger, because that's what I like to do, or get bigger, whatever. And taking that and then really fine tuning the golf swing side of things. I think that combination for me is what's going to be my recipe. My barbecue recipe, so to speak,
yes,
to be successful.
Yes.
Yeah.
I when I watch him swing, the thing I think about him is that he is doing a reckless attack on the ball, but he's still keeping it in play.
Yes.
So he's doing all the power moves that you got to make, but he's also got accuracy as well. So there's no safety. He's not just going to the I got power, let me hit it down the pipe. He's unloading with reckless abandon and keeping it in play.
Yeah. He is by far one of the most efficient people in the sport as far as with their speed and what they're able to do at those speeds. Right. You know, there's other people that can produce some crazy speeds, but they're not like Seb Todell out of Australia. He's fast. He just had a 246 ball speed on a TrackMan this last week. And
246?
246.
Oh my.
Yeah. But then there comes the accuracy component, like you're saying, the efficiency, the ability to last through a whole event, because these aren't just.
Yeah, you get five balls, right?
Yeah, these aren't just 2 hours of hitting, you're done. I mean, if the farther you go, this is a whole day, if not, I mean, Worlds is 3 to 4 days long. So like you're hitting every day. Like you can't just max out, so to speak, on 2 sets and then you're fried and it's over with. So,
but you could also hit 6 balls or 5 balls at 440 yards, all out of bounds in the second round, and never even make it to the show. Right. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Like if you can't find the grid, your speed's useless. I could hit it 270 miles an hour, 50 yards left, and that's not going to pay me $1.
I do that on the course on a regular basis.
So right. Gavin, walk us through. You show up to a tournament. Walk us through the days. Walk us through the preparation. Walk us through, getting to the final Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. So preparation is just really, you do all the off-season speed sessions to get your speed up, get your speed reserve up. And then you'll still do some of those in and out during season to keep your speeds there. But once season starts, you're really trying to just maintain speeds all season, because the time to build and push is kind of over with how often we're having to compete. So as far as prep goes, I mean, it's really just kind of, as I was speaking on, fine tuning your mechanics, seeing where there's spots in your swing that you can improve that make hitting those speeds more effortless. Right. Because the more effortless it is, the more in control you're going to be, the more you're going to hit the grid. So that's kind of the preparation. We show up at an event. I mean, the first day is really keep it in the grid, hit solid balls. You're not, unless you have to, you're not really going balls to the wall. You're not giving it everything and just blowing yourself out for the weekend. You're trying to kind of get your bearings, stay consistent. And if you stay consistent, you can normally get through the first couple rounds.
So how many people are in the first round? How many people go to the second? How many people go to the finale on Sunday?
Yeah. So a typical event, how they've been in the past years, they are changing some stuff this year, but none of us have been through that yet. So it's tough to say how that's really going to look.
Understood.
But past years, 64 people starts the first day. You're grouped into groups of 16. You do a round robin style in those groups. So you hit 5 sets, eventually hitting against every other person in that group, and you score points. And then they will cut that group in half. So they'll take 64 to the top 32 for the second day, do the same thing. And then once they get to the top 16, it'll be a head-to-head bracket down to the champion. So that's kind of how that flows. And it's interesting. The round robin stuff's interesting because you can't win it all in one set, but you definitely can shoot yourself in the foot if you go OB and get 0 points because you don't hit any in. That seems to be my downfall, to be honest, is I like to shoot myself in the foot and make it stressful on myself, which I've had luck battling back, and you got to win a couple sets then, but I'd rather not make that a habit this year. And just stay consistent and make it more cruise control. That would be nice. So that's definitely a goal this year, is to make that a little easier on myself.
So prep wise, do you go out? Do you hit 100 balls? Do you hit 500 balls? What do you do? Everyone's different.
Yeah. So if I'm doing like a speed session, I'll go until I see my speeds really start to drop because I get too tired. So once I'll push as far as I can. When they consistently start to drop, I know I'm done at that point. So that can be a wide range. But as far as like right before an event, I really won't overdo it. I maybe will hit I'll go hit balls. I'll hit different clubs, obviously, and just work on some swing stuff if I'm working on a certain feel or whatnot. But as far as like all out drivers, I may hit like in one session, probably 30, like when it's close to an event, just nothing too crazy, just enough to get up to speeds, kind of hit a few there, make sure everything's feeling good, and get in and get out before I wear myself down too much.
And so let's talk on a different level on equipment. Obviously, it's changed over the past couple of years that you've been in. It's changed from, different interviews and things that we've talked to other people in the past, on this podcast. Tell me about equipment and how it's changed for you, and what do you hit today? What did you hit before? And I know you have a couple of practice tools that you work with. We've gotten some video on that. So just touch on that a little bit.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I got into the sport, my buddy Wes Patterson had actually given me a 5-degree Callaway long drive head to start off with, because everybody in long drive uses long drive heads. They're normally 4.5 to 5 degrees standard loft. I didn't have one like that, and they're built different, but I just didn't have one. So he gave me one to start with. So I started off with that. I was hitting the Callaways for a long time. And we'll turn those up and down, but anywhere from 6 to 3 degrees, depending on kind of what shaft we're playing. And when I started, I was just hitting this really stiff 3X shaft that I pulled out of like an old crank driver I had found. I put it in, I used it with that Callaway, and that's what I made work for a while when I started. Then I started branching out. There's a lot of people that use whippier shafts now. So senior flex, ladies flex. And that's a whole thing right now. And depending on the conditions, like downwind, it allows you to get more speed and throw the ball super high in the air, which helps a lot. So started adopting that a little bit. I'm still use stiffer shafts. I haven't really gotten too familiar with the super flimsy stuff or been able to produce good numbers with them, because they're so timing and technique related. They're not necessarily raw power. They're more timing, technique, how you load the shaft and how you let it kick and unload. And some people are really good at figuring that out. And then, so I still sometimes will use like a senior flex in the right conditions. And if I'm swinging well, otherwise I'm still probably using like a 2X. So not quite as crazy. So I can still get a little bit of kick in there. But need to maybe figure out the flimsier stuff, but maybe not also. Everybody's different.
Everyone's different and all in time. So what tools do you use?
Yeah. So as far as training goes, and this is year round, I use a tool called Perfect Hands. And I'm not one for training aids, but I have found that this really helps me, and which is why I promote it so much. Is it's a big waistband, kind of like a lifting belt that you Velcro on. And attached to that are these different resistance bands, which you then connect to your glove, which has rings on it as well. And all you do is sit there and swing back and forth. And you can do it anywhere. Like I'll do it after workout sessions at the gym. So I'm still getting golf work in at the gym, and I don't even have to go somewhere else. I can, but you have big enough room in your home or garage or whatever, you can do it at home in your garage, backyard, whatever it is. I've done it in parking lots when I'm traveling before. But what that does is just build muscle memory of that band pulling you right back to the exact same spot every time, as well as that band's resistance holding you and putting your swing on plane, kind of keeping everything in check and in sync the whole time. And the more you do that, the more muscle memory I found that I build, and then I don't have to think as much when I'm swinging. I'm just swinging because I've already done all that work to teach my body what it needs to do.
Sure.
As well as the resistance it does have, I've found has helped me with speeds as well. It definitely has helped pick up some speed out of using it. So, I mean, it's all around. It helps just about every part of my game, and even my day-to-day going to play golf. So it's nice and super convenient. But as far as tools go, that's really about all I personally use, apart from how, and this is across long drive as a whole, how much everybody uses flight monitors and looking at all the data on those to kind of tweak our swings and tweak how we need to kind of make contact, or where we're losing distance. Are we spinning it too much? Are we not, is our attack angle not high enough? Are we not hitting it high enough? All those little things, because it does get very, as you said earlier, engineering when it comes to that. Like some people get real down to the nitty gritty when they start looking at those numbers.
Do you ever walk into like a golf fitting place and just go like, listen, this is my first time ever golfing, and I'm just looking for the right driver. And then you frickin' pipe one 400 or whatever.
So that's really say that because so last year, kind of earlier in the season, me and my buddies were out at my course that I was a member at then, and we're just sitting there playing, having a typical Saturday. And on the range, they're having a demo day. So they have all these different brands out there. And at the time, I was really having a hard time finding the Callaway long drive heads anymore. And I was like, we do break them a lot. So like, if you don't have access, you can kind of get in a pickle of like, well, I
can't get my golf head. Yeah.
Get one. Yeah. So I was wanting to try out because Cobra also is a player in the long drive space, and they make long drive heads, and they're good as well, really good. And so there was a Cobra rep there, and I was like, like I told my buddies, I'm like, I'm gonna go over there, act like I'm just random guy here, and want them to build me something. And I'm like, maybe they'll get a kick out of it, and I can build a relationship with one of them and get in with Cobra so I can switch over to them.
Mm-hmm.
Cobra stuff, you had to know somebody to get access to. They didn't sell it to the open market. And so I go over there and I have them build me something, and they built me this just normal play driver, and I was sitting there 210 plus on ball speed on the range. I was typing it, and they were like, "Who are you?" Whatever. Long story short, ironically, the right guy I needed to meet was there, and he was the one who set it up for me. And so I told him who I was, and that's how I actually ended up transitioning to Cobra equipment last year. And that's what I've been using ever since, and I really like their stuff. But yeah, so that's funny. That's funny you bring that up, because I
swing a Cobra driver. But my point was, simply like when it comes to the engineering, as we've discussed, and the flavor and the sauce, so to speak, you're operating in an arena that very few people who play golf would understand. And they understand ball speed. They understand, shafts and things like that, but they don't understand exactly the kind of math you're trying to generate, like it's very specific, So I just thought it'd be interesting to think what would happen if you walked into a place that just had no idea what your capabilities were.
Yeah. And I mean, and it's kind of funny, and this is not like a I don't know, arrogant thing at all, but like we actually, like normal play driver heads, like we break them pretty quick. Like if we're going all out. So it's kind of tough to go do that. You
snap them off in the shaft or break the face, or how's it go?
The faces on the play driver heads aren't as thick as the long drive ones. So we go all out. Like before I got involved with Cobra, I was using a Callaway AI Smoke for my play driver head. Triple diamond or whatever, just a normal one. Because on the course, I'm not normally swinging as hard. So a lot of us have the normal heads that have a little bit more loft on them. Mm-hmm. But occasionally you throttle up on them. And I think I went through 4 of those.
Oh my goodness.
Kept caving the face in.
What's the loft on a competition long drive?
So anywhere we'll play them anywhere from about 5 down to 3 degrees.
Wow.
So that's kind of where people hover at. You don't see much higher.
And how long? I know that there's been discussion in the past of PGA and LIV and the champions. What is the length? Is there a requirement that says you can't go over this many inches?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, because I like to point this out actually. Is like everything we use equipment wise has to be within USGA rules. So all the drivers we're using technically could be used out there on tour, on the PGA Tour.
Really?
So
I did not know that.
We're not that much different. We're not a circus. It's not crazy. Yes, the heads are a lot flatter as far as loft goes, and we hit whippy shafts and stuff like that. But it's not crazy. So the max is 48 inches, but some of us, like most of us don't even play the max. Like I play mine at 47 to 47.5 because I find it gives me just a little bit more control and I don't give up that much speed. But there's some people that still hit like 46.5, 46. Like people all have their preferences and stuff, but I mean, you can get drivers off the shelf at 46 inches. So there's really not that huge of a difference when we're looking at it.
So whenever you go out to a tournament, how many drivers do you bring, knowing that you could possibly
snap one off?
So I travel. Well, it just depends how many you have. Like some people travel with a ton. Like
the guys who show up at the barbecue competition with an RV with smokers in the back of it. Yeah.
I travel with probably about five different shafts, and normally have about 3 heads on hand at a time. But I mean, when I go up to hit, I normally know what's working for me that day, so I'm normally sticking with 1 or 2 of the setups I have. So normally having one as a backup that I can kind of switch around if I need to.
So if Rory breaks a shaft in the middle of his round, he goes to the truck and they build him a new one right there on the spot. Long drive doesn't have that, do they? Or do they?
Not really.
It seemed like a good idea, doesn't it?
It does. You would think that more shaft companies would want to get
John,
involved.
write that down.
Yeah. Got it. Note to self.
Yeah. Or even more club companies you would think want to get involved. Like I was saying earlier, Callaway and Cobra are really the only 2 major players in this long drive space right now. You see some crank, which Bryson got involved in the space when he started dabbling in long drive and stuff.
Don't you think he's a unique player in this game?
He is, and he's really cool. So at one point, when I was first getting involved in long drive, he owned a part of the tour at the time. And so he would show up at some events, and he is super down to earth, easy to talk to. He hung out with all of us, hit balls with all of us. Like we were just sitting there hitting balls, talking, and you would have thought he was hanging out with you and I. Like,
right.
He is very unique, and he's a cool dude, and he is way smarter than I will ever be when it comes to engineering golf and numbers and specs and all that crap.
So are there many ex-professionals that come out, or I mean, are there names there that were on the PGA Tour, or what?
You don't really see much from the PGA Tour apart from Bryson. I wouldn't be surprised, like if the sport grows and it's in some popular events or in some big popular places, it wouldn't surprise me if people started showing up, But
don't you think Bryson's kind of that crossover between the PGA Tour and the WWE? You know what I mean? It's like he is kind of like the changing of the guard, so to speak. I don't think he necessarily. I mean, I think a lot of guys went to Live Tour for the money. Obviously, there's big money, right? But also, he's a showman. I mean, I think that ultimately, what irritates other golfers about him is that he can hit it long. He's gregarious. He's totally unique, and yet he can compete with them in a world he's not supposed to be able to.
Right. And win a U.S. Open.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Win several tournaments, man. I mean, honestly, like the guy is an elite. He's top 10 in the world, in my opinion, in terms of just great golfers overall, regardless of whether he can hit it far.
He's hitting golf balls over his house, Yeah. He's unique. He's cool.
And he's a social media guru expert, fantastic performer there too. Because, I mean, I just think he's a new generation.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Social media plays a huge role in that. The crossover of golf into social media in the last like 3 years is game changing. It's huge. And how it's gotten youth involved, and like how much more you hear of kids being involved in the sport now. Like when I was a kid, we were the losers who were out of school all the time to go play golf, and everybody like, oh, you play golf, that's dumb. And then once you get older, it's funny because then everybody changes their tune. Like, oh, we start skating because now we suck, and it's not fun.
The chairman needs to see your drive.
Right.
Yeah, totally. It's like it's completely. Well, I mean, I think that the groundbreakers of the past become the narrow-minded of the future, and it takes a different, amiable, malleable person to like, Rory being so rigid. Love Rory. A lot of people love Rory, for instance. Tiger broke the game wide open, changed the game, right? And then yet he is a PGA stalwart who would look at Bryson maybe as a little bit of an outlier, I don't know. I just think that there's people that break new ground. I'm not just trying to go on the Bryson thing. I'm just saying, like, he's a groundbreaking individual,
No, absolutely.
Well, absolutely. And it goes into your sport, right? I mean, Justin James, right? Like, Kyle Berkshire. I mean, these guys are breaking new boundaries, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and we even have guys in the long drive space that are doing the same thing, bridging the gap with social media. I mean, Martin Borgmeyer, who has done a lot of stuff with Bryson. Actually, they're pretty close, and Martin now does all sorts of social media stuff and is growing in that space. Kyle does all sorts of social media stuff and is growing in that space, and all. Like, it just makes it easy to connect back and grow acknowledgement of the long drive side of things too. Because I think the more people know about it and the more just general knowledge people can get about it, the more people are interested in the sport. Because it is interesting, especially when you get to see it in person. It's like seeing like it on YouTube or whatnot. It's another shot tracer. I get it. And then it's numbers on a screen. But then when you see it in person and you see the ball flights and you just see the difference in the sound and like the feeling in the air, because it's going back to like the WWE. I mean, it's a SmackDown when we're out there.
That's right.
You're not going out playing golf. There's not golf claps. No, people are screaming and yelling and ripping drives. It's just different.
I think Rory's scared of getting hit by a chair. I really think he is. The truth is, I don't think that Rory could ever generate the ball speed required to be a long drive champion.
No, but
even though he's a master of the golf ball.
This is true. However, I think I would trade him as major championships.
I think you would too. Well, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, like, for instance, somebody like DJ.
Right.
If you trained to be a long driver, would smack the hell out of the ball. Right.
Right.
Never did that. He's married to Wayne Gretzky's daughter. He's doing fine. The guy is doing exceptionally well. He does not need to compete in long drive, but he could have been an exceptional long driver, right?
Yeah, there's definitely people out there that if they applied themselves in the sport. I think if it was bigger, and people applied themselves, you'd see some animals come out of the woodworks for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
So Gavin, we're talking 2025. You're 37th in the world. What are our goals this year?
This year, I really want to break into that top 20 that I've kind of come close to and tiptoed around and then not quite rounded that corner. So I would say that's probably my main goal this year would be to break into the top 20 in the world, which to do that, I know it's consistency. I kind of mentioned to you earlier. I need to maybe not have as ups and downs and just be complacent with coasting here and kind of the middle. But, over time, if I can do that for a full season, that's going to shuffle me up versus having the random events where I shoot myself in the foot early and I'm out. And then that moves me backwards again. You know what I'm saying?
Does it matter how many events you play in a year? In terms of scores?
Definitely makes a difference because, you're scoring points at every event you go to. So if you're skipping events and then the ones you go to, you're not doing well in, you're going to definitely move backwards. But world rankings aren't everything. So outside of that, just some consistent top 16 finishes.
Are there majors?
The top 8. There's a couple majors. So Worlds, obviously, which is going to be sweet this year in Colorado. That'll be fun. getting all the top guys in the world in the same place at altitude, we're going to see some big numbers.
Yeah.
The wind gets going the right direction there. That's going to be really cool.
If it doesn't turn around.
Right.
Hit it into the trees and just track it. It just it doesn't matter where it lands. Just turn around and smack the shit out of it.
Right. And then there's one in Canada in June. It's called Endless Summer, and that event's a blast because we actually play in a pro-am. The first day you do your qualifying on the course on the par fives. So you'll hit 4 drives on each par 5, and that's how you qualify into the event that night. And then that night it's under the lights, and
super fun.
The Canadians love their long drive, and there was, I think they said like 600-700 people there last year, something crazy. And there's a live DJ the whole time. So it's a party. It's a party, lights, and as well as long drive at the same time. So
he knocked the shit out of that one, eh?
Yeah, exactly. No, Canada's fun. Those guys are awesome.
Yeah, man. The air is going to be a little colder, less travel, but yeah, man, that's great. Well, guys, we should probably wrap it up, man. We've been talking for a long time. Good time, though. I've had a good time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man. John, what do you got?
Yeah, no, Gavin, just thank you for bringing us, a real view
inside,
of what you do. And, your sport is new. We've been doing as much research as we can on it, trying to figure out, who's who and what's what. We've talked about it for a while.
Yeah.
And just trying to figure out, the next generation and who's coming up next and who's who, right? There's guys in the NFL that go on for a few years. There's guys in the MLB that go on for a few years, right?
Yeah.
This is a sport that is exciting. And as Josh and I have talked about it with you multiple times, I mean, this is I'm a B player. I'm 350 max because I hit a cart path. You know what I'm saying? Right. I'm not 350 off the tee. You guys are 350 off the tee. I mean, I'm a B player. I want to do what you guys are doing. So this insight is just, a wonderful insight on how the sport is growing and what you guys do in season, off season. So can't thank you enough, man.
I'm going to go in the basement, power lift a refrigerator that I've been trying to get out of there for a while. I feel like it's going to help my swing.
Use a dolly. Use a dolly.
What's her name again? Anyway, Gavin, awesome, dude.
Thank you so
love
much.
Talking to you. And we'll do it again soon, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Best of luck in 2025, bro. We'll be there.
Thank you. Look forward to it.
We'll be there. Peace.
All right. See you guys.
Okay, so that takes care of episode 2 of the Midflight Scrambler Podcast. We had the great time sitting down with the long-hitting Big Iron, Gavin Yociss, and coming to you live from the icy tundra of the Midwest. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Midflight Scrambler.